Morning, folks. Welcome to my channel. It's been a bit of a while since my last video. Sorry, I've been not so well for a couple of weeks, but this one might prove to be a very long video, or I might have to split it like I did the last one into two parts because it's dealing with this box of books. Believe it or not, this box is just 3 purchases from eBay, 3 bundles, excuse me, and each bundle was devoted to a single author. So, as there's so many, won't say too much about each one, but let's get on, excuse me, and see what I managed to purchase. Buying books this way in bundles can be a great way to get them cheap, because the individual cost of each book can sometimes be as low as £1, £1.50 or something like that. So start with the latest bundle that came into the house, and that dealt with with the author Poul Anderson. Now, I don't think I've ever read a novel or a short story collection by Anderson, though I must have read short stories in anthologies in the past. But I'm really pleased with this set of books that I got. The condition is beautiful. So let's start off with the first one. This is Fire Time. So as I said, beautiful condition. This one is a 1975 first printing on Ballantine. And unusually, because I've never seen this before, the maps are printed on the inside of the cover. I think this is a science fantasy novel. Next up, we have The Long Night. This is a Tor book, and this features a recurring character for him, Dominic Flandry, who I've heard of the Dominic Flandry novels, but as I said, never read any by them, and I'm not sure where this fits in the running order, if you like. It seems that these are a selection of short stories featuring the character from the late 60s. This Tor printing is from May 1983. Again, beautiful condition. Another one featuring Dominic Flandry is this one, A Stone in Heaven. Flandry is back, according to the back cover, and it says this is the culmination of the greatest adventure series in the history of science fiction. So, when was this one? This is an first ace printing from October 1979. But the great thing about this is it's profusely illustrated throughout. That's great. Sticking with the Flandry set of novels, this is The Game of Empire from Baen Books, from May 1985. And it seems this introduces his daughter Diana. Right. Next one. A Panther book, The Corridors of Time. A power struggle for time itself. This is a 1965 novel by Anderson, and this is a 75 reprint. Again, to see beautiful condition. I was really pleased with these acquisitions. Next up, Orbit Unlimited, a superior planetary adventure. Again, a Panther paperback. And this one was originally printed in a different form in Astounding Science Fiction in January 1959 and January 1960, and in Fantastic Universe for October 1959. This is a 1976 reprint. Great cover by Chris Foss. Next, Trader to the Stars, with a cover by Anthony Roberts. Again, in Panther. This was a 1964 novel, again, which appeared in Astounding Science Fiction in 1956 this time. And this is a 75 reprint. The Long Way Home, another Panther paperback with a cover by Jim Burns. I'm really pleased that they actually credit the artist for once. A 1959 novel, and again a 1975 reprint. Like this cover, After Doomsday. The cover illustration is by Tom MacArthur, or an artist I've heard of. Earth is dead, murdered from the depths of space, but how and by whom? Sounds intriguing. Again, Panther, a 1961-62 novel, and again a 1975 reprint. Time and the Stars, cover this time by David A. Hardy. This is a selection of short stories that appeared in various magazines in the early 60s, 62, 63, and again a 1975 reprint. The next one is Tau Zero. I think it's one of his more famous novels, because I have another copy of this as part of the Gollancz Masterwork series. This one is not Panther, it's Coronet. So we won't be told who did the cover. This is a novel that first appeared in a shorter version in Galaxy Science Fiction in June and August of 1967 under the title To Outlive Eternity. This Coronet edition is from 1973. The Byworlder, again another Coronet publication. This one again serialized in fantastic science fiction and fantasy stories, June, August 1971, and this Coronet edition is from 74. Beyond the Beyond, yet another Coronet edition. I think this one is short stories, yep, 5 short stories from the mid to late 50s on up to 67 actually. And this Coronet edition is from 1973. Intriguing cover on that. Coming towards the end of the Anderson ones, I think. A Midsummer Tempest. This is from Orbit. And this sounds intriguing. It's a world where Cavaliers and Puritans battle with the aid of observation balloons and steam trains, where Oberon and Titania join forces with King Arthur to resist the Industrial Revolution, and where the future meshes with the past in the shape of Valeria, time traveller from New York. Sounds like a bit of a steampunk novel. When did this come out? Originally published in 1959 under the titled Smorgasbord. Sorry, that's the poem that is in here. This novel comes from 1974, and this Orbit edition from 1975. Next, one from the Sphere's SF Classics series. This is number 12, and this is The Broken Sword. I think this is another one of his more famous novels. I think this is pure fantasy, though, rather than science fiction. Or maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it's science fantasy. Looks like a fantasy novel anyway. Originally published in a different version in 1954. This Sphere edition is from 1973. I don't think I own any others in this SF Classic series. I'll have to keep an eye out. When you get a run like that, the completist in me comes to the fore, and I want to collect all of them. Not quite at the end yet. I thought we were. Another one in a series. This is New English Library's SF Master series, and this is Brainwave. From 1954 originally. This is the first New English Library edition from August 77. Just looking at what other titles were in this series. You've got The Paradox Men by Charles Harness, Other Worlds by Cyrano de Bergerac, novels by Hal Clement, Harry Harrison, Ward Moore, others, Martian Timeslip by Philip K. Dick. That's that one. Next, a collection of short stories. Again, this is a New English Library. I like that cover. The Queen of Air and Darkness and Other Stories. Though the Queen of Air and Darkness seems to have been a Hugo and Nebula Award-winning novella. The stories in here date from the mid 60s to early 70s, and this edition is from June 1977. And we finally got to the last three, and they're a trilogy. And it's the Psychotechnic League trilogy. But looking at this, these were, at least this volume was a series of short stories, so they must all be set in the same universe. The stories go back to the early 1950s, and this copy is this edition by Baen Books is from 1981. Quite like that livery. Volume 2 is Cold Victory. Again, it's a series of short stories dating back to from 1950 through to 1957, and this was brought out in 1982. And finally we get Starship, third volume in this series. Again, looks like a series of short stories from the 1950s, and this edition's from June 1982. Like I say, I quite like that set, and in beautiful condition. I can't complain about this bundle I bought. So that's the Poul Anderson books. Next up, how are we doing for time? Can't tell. 17 minutes. It's going to be a long one. The next set of books I got from a hospice charity on eBay, and it was 40 paperbacks by a single author. This author is often classed as one of the big three in the SF genre, and that's Robert Heinlein. I know he can be a bit of a problematic figure these days for his sort of libertarian right-wing views. I remember when I used to read quite a bit of science fiction, I really enjoyed what I'd read of his. But maybe at the time I'd been a youngster, I didn't pick up on the politics involved in them. But I'm looking forward to trying his work again. Like I said, there were 40 in here. But I think 3 were in pretty poor condition, so I'm probably not keeping those. But the rest were in excellent condition. The cover's in excellent condition. The text blocks can be a bit discoloured and marked, but I don't mind that too much. So let's see what there is. First off, Podkayne of Mars. This is from New English Library. A lot of these are going to be from New English Library. When did this one? This is a 1963 book, and this is an October 1978 edition. Space Cadet. Again, NEL. Right. 1948, this novel was written, and this is a 1980 reprint. This is one I did read back in the day, and I remember enjoying very much. This is a collection of stories called The Unpleasant Profession of Jonathan Hoag, which is the lead story in this collection. Like that cover. These stories are from the 1940s, it seems, and this is a November 1980 edition. Assignment in Eternity. I think is this another collection? No, it looks like it's a novel from, not sure when this was originally written, but the first NEL paperback was May 71, and this is a 79 reprint. Following up on that, we have Assignment in Eternity, Volume 2. And now this is two sort of short novellas, Lost Legacy and Jerry Was a Man. So I don't know why it's seen as part 2 of Assignment in Eternity, unless they were originally printed as one book. Anyway, Lost Legacy comes from 41, Jerry Was a Man from 1947, and this is a September 78 edition. A famous one, but one I've never read, is Glory Road. Unfathomable adventures, incredible imagination, sex and brutality, heroism and recklessness, a triumph, described as. As you can see, the text block is a bit discoloured, but I don't mind that at all. I'm more interested in the covers not being creased and the spines. This one comes from 1963, and this is a reprint from June 1984. Job, described as a comedy of justice. Again, NEL. From 1984, this edition 1985. I think this is the comedy of justice implies it's a comedic satirical novel. Another big one, I Will Fear No Evil. Something to do with a man's mind transplanted into a woman's body. This one comes from 1970, and it's a March 82 edition. Excuse me, falling over. And if that one was a big one, this is even bigger. Time Enough for Love. What is it? 600 pages. Again, you can see the discoloration, but no big deal. This one is a 1974 novel, reprinted in NEL May 1982. And probably his most famous novel of all, his, which I think won all the awards. Well, it was a Hugo Award winner, Stranger in a Strange Land. Never read this one, and it's surprisingly difficult to find in a decent condition. I've struggled. There were actually 2 copies of this in the bundle. The first one was beat to hell, so I'm not keeping that one. But this one isn't too bad. There's a bit of creasing on the spine. This goes back to 1961. God, it's been reprinted quite a lot. This is a July 84 reprint from New English Library. Sticking with all the New English Library ones, we have 2 collections. The Path Through Tomorrow Volume 1 and The Path Through Tomorrow Volume 2. As you can tell, these are collections of short stories. There's famous ones like Lifeline and The Roads Must Roll, The Man Who Sold the Moon in Volume 1. These are stories from the 1940s. This edition is May 1982. Volume 2 has stories like The Green Hills of Earth. Again from the 40s. And this is from November 1979, this edition. Methuselah's Children. Again, New English Library. Goes back to 1958, but there was an earlier, shorter version published in 1941. This is a July 1983 reprint. See, all of these are in really good condition. So pleased. This is one I think got another copy of somewhere. I've got to check this. This is a short collection of stories by him called The Worlds of Robert Heinlein. Stories from, I think, the 50s and 60s. This edition from 1978. One that isn't a New English Library edition. This is a Penguin edition of Citizen of the Galaxy. I don't know if this might be this one of his sort of what these days would be called young adult, or in the past used to be called juvenile books. I don't know. And originally written in 1957, this Penguin edition is from 84, covered by Tom Stimson. Farnham's Freehold. This comes from Corgi. You can see again quite a bit of staining there, but not too bad. 64 novel. Again, like a lot of these books from this period, were either fix-ups or expanded editions of shorter works. And this originally appeared in Worlds of If magazine in 1964 in a shorter version. This Corgi edition is a 83 reprint. Orphans of the Sky, with cover illustration by Peter Jones. This one was originally published as a two-part serial in Astounding Science Fiction in 1941 under the titles Universe and Common Sense. This reprint is from 1977. Going to Panther for this edition of Beyond This Horizon. I like that cover. Don't know who it's by. And this was originally written, I think, way back in 1942. And this edition is from, is it 75? with all of these books that I'm showing, if you know anything about them, you've read them, you've got any thoughts about them, good, bad, indifferent, please let me know in the comments. So I'll maybe be able to target better which ones to read first, if I ever get around to reading all of these. Still got quite a few Heinlein ones to come. The Menace from Earth, again from Corgi, this one. Oh, it's an anthology of 8 stories, The Menace from Earth being one of them. The stories are from the 40s and 50s, and this Corgi edition was a reprint from 1983. Sorry I'm not saying much about any of these, but there's just so many to get through. Pan, next, a Pan science fiction edition of Farmer in the Sky. This is again, I think, a collection of short stories, is it? One of these. Excuse me a minute. No, I think it's a novel. It's just that everything's got chapter titles that look like short story titles. This one's from 1950, and this edition is from 1967. So one of the earlier editions that I've picked up in this bundle. Rocket Ship Galileo, back to New English Library. And this is from 1947, and this is a 1986 reprint, April 1986. Famous story of his, The Man Who Sold the Moon. Can't remember whether I've read this one. I've got a feeling I have. And 1953 work, obviously of short stories. Lifeline and The Roads Must Roll and The Man Who Sold the World, which were all in one of the other collections, are in this one. This is a 1981 reprint, and you get a timeline of his stories in there. Another very famous one, which I haven't read, The Puppet Masters. This one's in superb condition. Very little staining, uncreased spine. Originally published in 1966 in one volume with Waldo and Magic Inc. as a Heinlein triad, but the stories go back to the 40s and 50s. This NEL paperback edition is from 1987. Again, I like that cover. It doesn't say who the artist is. Between Planets, a 1951 novel. Yep. 83 reprint. Friday, chunky one, this one. From 1982, one of his later novels. And this is a 1983 reprint. There's nothing on the back that tells you what the novel's about. Never mind. Cat Who Walks Through Walls. I mean, a comedy of manners. That sounds intriguing, I must admit. Another superb copy. And this one, again, is a later novel, 85, and this is an 86 edition. I'm really pleased with these bundles. I highly recommend doing searches on eBay of bundles, and if they've got decent photos, you can get a good idea of what the condition is. Condition is usually pretty important to me, but when you look at the price for a bundle, the individual prices of the books are very cheap. I think this one with the worked out at around a pound a book. Next one, one of the Pan lozenges. That I'm not sure if that's the actual official designation for this livery, but Stephen Andrews, the Outlaw bookseller, calls it the Pan lozenge series, and that seems to have caught on with everybody, and everybody refers to it by that title. I've got a few books now in this livery. I'm trying to collect as many as I can. So this one, the original novel goes back to 1956, and this edition is from 1970. And we're back to the NEL ones, and this is Starmon Jones from 1953 and 1985 edition. Star Beast, striking cover. (1954), and this is an 84 edition. The Day After Tomorrow. (1949), this one goes back to one of his earlier novels. Again, first published in the US under the title Sixth Column. Other 1985 edition in New English Library. Another famous one of his, The Number of the Beast, another one of his chunkier novels. And this one, again, yeah, it's one of his later novels, 1980, and this is April 1981 edition. Another title I've heard of quite a bit, Have Spacesuit Will Travel? Again, I'm wondering whether this is one of his young adult ones. First published in the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction in 1958. This is September 83 reprint. Still quite a few. Definitely one of his more famous ones, Starship Troopers, made into an excellent film. But I've never read the novel. When did the novel? A much abridged version of this book was published in Fantasy and Science Fiction under the title Starship Soldier in 1960, I think. And this edition is from, oh, not from the 80s, February 1979. Space Family Stone. This is one of the ones in probably least good condition. It looks like it's had some water damage, some ripple in there. Yeah, the text block isn't brilliant, but it's decent enough. The spine's okay. It'll do as a reading copy. Goes back to 1952 and 1985 reprint. And we're down to the last 4 of the Heinlein ones. This one's an early Panther one edition of Double Star. Bit of a crease in the back cover. Not a particularly inspiring front cover. This is 1956 original. This is a 1968 reprint. Love this cover. Red Planet. I'm sure I've seen that somewhere else. Or maybe just seen it in books about science fiction. Don't know who the artist is. And this goes back to 1949, and this edition is from 1967. Oh, this is by Pan. Waldo and Magic Ink. I think I've got I have got a hard cover of those two works together. But it's nice to have this edition. As I think I said with the Puppet Masters, it was originally published in 1 volume as a Heinlein triad. This edition is from 1986. Finishing off the Heinlein ones eventually. Time for the Stars. Again, a Pan edition of this one. This is originally from 1956. This is a 5th printing from 1983. So that was a really good collection of Heinlein novels and collections. Couldn't believe that I got it for about the price of £1 per book. So what we're doing now, 43 minutes. Might as well carry on. The third bundle I got was a bundle of books by one of the other writers of the big 3, along with Heinlein and Arthur C. Clarke. And that's the guy that, if you asked me to mention a science fiction writer, he's probably the first one that would come to mind, and that's Isaac Asimov. Again, a writer I used to really enjoy. The Foundation trilogy I loved when I first read them. And I loved the Robot series as well. Now, I know those 2 series sort of morphed together eventually. So I'd love to know if anybody has a suggestion of what the best reading order of those books would be. Because I'd like to read them in the best order if that's not the actual publication order. Anyway, we start off with these most famous series, Foundation, the original Foundation trilogy. I've got a lovely hardback edition of these, but it was nice to find these Panther editions with the Chris Foss covers. Have I got these in the right order? I seem to. Bear with me, because they all. Oh, I'll give up. They sort of join together to make one picture. Yeah, superb. One of the best science fiction series out there. Going back to 1950s. So it's Foundation and Empire, and the third one, Second Foundation. So what else have we got in here? These might not be in the right order. We have The Naked Sun. Unfortunately, this has a bit of a crease in the front cover, but it's not too bad. Again, Panther edition. Again, a Chris Foss cover. From 1957. This is a 73 reprint. Robots and Empire. Wonderful Chris Foss cover again. Oh, what have we got in here? A British Airways boarding pass, I think. I wonder where they were going. Looks like they were going to Zurich. Mr. Meeks or Mrs. Meeks. I like finding little things like this in books. A glimpse into the life of the previous owner. First published in 1985. This is an 86 reprint from Grafton Books. As you can see, this is probably where the two series came together, the Robots and Empire series. The Complete Robot. Now, this is one I have read in the past. I used to have this. Again, Chris Foss cover by Grafton. This is I think a bunch of short stories that probably appeared in other volumes. This is from 1982, but reprinted 1990. Another one in that sort of series, The Robots of Dawn. Again, I think I've read this one. Unfortunately, I had to get rid of the vast majority of my books about 10, 11 years ago. Another Chris Foss cover, 1985 Panther edition, or Granada Panther. Nice condition on that. Yeah, one I used to have, The Bicentennial Man, another one from the Robot series. This one has a bit of a crease in the spine, but not too bad. These stories come from the mid-60s through to the mid-70s. This Panther edition is from 1979. Again, I think a Chris Foss cover. well, one that's not part of the Robots or Empire series, at least I don't think so. A nice early edition of Through a Glass Clearly. This is a Foursquare edition, who eventually became, I think, New English Library. In fact, it says New English Library at the back. I think this is a collection of short stories, 4 short stories, from the early 50s. And this edition is from 1967. What have we got next? Robot Dreams. So you can guess which which series this one comes from. Cover illustration by Ralph McQuarrie. This looks like a later edition, possibly 90s. Not quite. 1989. I think these it's a collection of vintage and never before collected stories. The 4th book in the Foundation saga, Foundation's Edge. Bit of some bleaching on the spine, but otherwise okay. Never got as far as, I just read the original trilogy, never read anything further. This is 84 Panther edition, or Granada edition. Prelude to Foundation, with a cover by Tim White. And this one, 1989 again, by Grafton Books, Granada. Take it this is, well, Prelude is a prequel to the Foundation trilogy, but I don't know whether that should be read before the Foundation trilogy or read at a later date. Then you get, the 5th book in the saga, Foundation and Earth, with another Tim White cover. I take it this is 89 again. Always wrong. 87. And finally, a bigger book, Forward the Foundation, the final chapter in the Foundation series. So when was this? Did this come out? I'm not keen on this size of book, but beggars can't be choosers. And this looks like it was copyright 1993, first published 1993 by Doubleday, and this edition 1993 too. So I wonder if this is the final one, although I think, hasn't somebody else carried on the series? Must admit, doesn't really interest me. So that's the final Asimov one. Again, I'm really pleased with what I managed to pick up. As I said before, if any of the books in the I've shown, if you know anything about them, you've read them, please let me know. Tell me what you think. And I'd be particularly interested to know a reading order for the Foundation for Nation and Empire, Robot series. And am I missing any now? Having bought this bundle. So that's the latest selection of book that's come into my abode. Gone mad as usual. I've got two or three other videos that I want to do. One on horror, particularly, and one a look back at what I've read this year. So thank you for everybody who's watched the video so far and subscribed. I hope you found something of interest, and I hope to see you soon. And I've managed to do this under an hour. Hope it's not too long. See you soon. Bye.